President Joseph Boakai recommits Liberia to inclusive infrastructural development at first post-war infrastructure conference. Criminal court places travel ban on current and former high-profile government officials for corruption. Armed Forces of Liberia issues 14-day evacuation notice to illegal occupants of the 72nd Military Barracks in Peaceville. And away from Liberia, 13 school students dead in South Africa after a minibus collided with a lorry. These stories and much more, including sports, the weather report, the news in Liberian English and French. But first, the news bulletin and Crystal.
President Joseph Boakai says government remains committed to a deliberate, inclusive, and forward-looking infrastructure development plan that supports the arrest agenda. President Boakai said his administration is ready to build in quality infrastructures that are resilient to natural elements and climate change. According to him, this move will generate jobs, grow industries, promote growth equity, and most importantly, build a cohesive and open society. The Liberian leader was speaking Monday in Nimba County at the official opening of the National Infrastructure Conference organized by the Ministry of Public Works and partners. President Boakai urged the ministry and other government institutions to go beyond fragmented efforts and short-term fixes and gravitate toward a coordinated system to serve present and future generations. Meanwhile, President Boakai has described the National Infrastructure Conference as a call to action. The president believes the conference, to achieve its targeted goals, demands the readiness and dedication of institutions, national policies, and leadership. The Liberian chief executive noted that the conference is geared towards fostering national discussions that finds solutions to the country's decaying infrastructure and charting a path towards its rebuilding process. President strongly underscored the need not to simply repair broken infrastructure, but to design structures that support the improvement of lives and restores dignity. Criminal Court C has placed a traveling ban on 8 current and past government officials. Judge Usman Baker's Nexia Publica was triggered by a request from Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission Chief Prosecutor Councillor Bobby Livingstone. Councillor Livingstone's request informed the court that the officials in question have been indicted by the grand jury of Montserrat County for alleged corruption. The indicted public officials are Atta Masakwe, former Director General of the Bureau of State Enterprise, Matthew Pochio, Controller, Cardinal Michel Valley Sano, Isaac Makula, and Mohamed Fofana, all of the BSE. Others are Cabinet Keita, insurance broker of MCSS, and Madame Sonita Dangan, Director for Curriculum Development and Instructions at MCSS. The officials have been indicted by the grand jury of Montserrat County for allegedly stealing thousands of United States dollars from the government of Liberia, but yet to come under the jurisdiction of the court to face criminal prosecution. Criminal Court C presiding Judge Usman Feta has suspended his ruling on two separate motions for new trials filed by two former public officials of the Liberia Institute for Statistics and Geoinformation Services. This followed Monday's legal argument between prosecution and defense lawyers at Criminal Court C Temple of Justice. Monday's argument, according to our judicial reporter, was characterized by claims and counterclaims with the objective of convincing the court for a verdict. Defendants Dominic Kay and Lawrence George, formerly of Legis, have since been convicted by trial jurors for stealing over 100,000 United States dollars from the institution. During the hearing, lawyers of defendant Pay and George argued that new evidence was discovered which warranted the dismissal of the jurors' verdict against them, consistent with Chapter 22, Section 22 of the Criminal Procedure Law of Liberia. But state lawyers led by LCC Chief Prosecutor Councillor Bobby Livingstone rejected defense lawyers' accounts, saying the discovery for new evidence is not grounds to set aside the jurors' verdict. Defendant Dominic Pay and Lawrence George, formerly alleges were convicted on January 13, 2026 at Criminal Court C for stealing over 100,000 United States dollars during the past administration of former President George Weah. Their charges range from economic sabotage, fraud on the internal revenue of Liberia, misuse of public funds, theft of property, misappropriation, and conspiracy, among others. The Armed Forces of Liberia has issued a 14-day evacuation notice to occupants of Camp Rigro, commonly known as the 72nd Barracks. It is in continuation of efforts to reclaim military barracks occupied by non-military personnel across the country. Speaking to ELBC during a tour of the facility on Monday, Brigadier General Theophilus Ghana said the move is intended to allow for the renovation of the barracks for military use. He maintained that once renovated, AFL personnel will occupy the facility, a measure expected to reduce overcrowding at the Elbc Newsline barracks. Brigadier General Dana also highlighted the importance of the facility, especially at a time when the AFL is conducting recruitment to increase the strength of servicemen. The Minister of Local Government, Francis Umali, has reiterated government commitment to strengthen local governance across Liberia. Minister Umali said government focus will be to improve service delivery to its citizens to better their livelihoods. He noted that decentralization programs become real deliverables and lasting benefits for the Liberian people.
Improving service delivery
Minister Umali called on Liberians to move together, guided by collaboration, accountability, and shared vision for the realization of the decentralization and inclusive Liberia. He spoke Monday at the launch of the National Decentralization Support Unit Initiative. Meanwhile, Deputy Local Government Minister for Research, Development and Planning, Elwood Moba, thanked the World Bank and partners for supporting government's decentralization initiative by providing equipment. Minister Moba disclosed that the support of ICT equipment will enhance the operations of the 14 national decentralization support units across the country. He said the NDSUs at the various government ministries and agencies will serve as a link between the entity's central offices and the service windows at the county service centers in the 15 counties.
14 vehicles have been so far reactivated and will receive supplies today. So the play have to roll to get more out of these operation and local government.
Minister Moba spoke Monday at the launch of the National Decentralization Support Unit Initiative. Some of the entities receiving the ICT equipment include labor, transport, education, health, gender, local government ministries, Liberia Land Authority, and the Liberia Revenue Authority, among others. In a related development, representatives from various government ministries and agencies vowed to use the items for the intended purpose. They said the equipment will help to enhance operations at the various entities and thanked the World Bank and partners for the gesture. Also speaking, UNDP International Program Coordinator for Liberia Decentralization Support Unit, Eric Boakar, pledged UNDP's support to the Ministry of Local Government to enhance the decentralization program. The ICT equipment includes printers, laptops, desktop computers, 75-inch TV, and automatic voltage regulators, among others. The Liberia Independent Elder Council for Peace and Reconciliation has honored Agriculture Minister Alexander Nota for what they described as his visionary leadership and commitment to revitalizing the country's agricultural sector. At the ceremony, the chairman of the council, Elder Samuel Phillips, said the honor reflects the elders' confidence in Minister Nota's capacity to shepherd Liberia's agricultural resources for the benefit of all. Elder Phillips also highlighted the strategic importance of agriculture for national development and community livelihoods. He emphasized that the Council's readiness to work closely with the Agriculture Ministry to ensure that policies and programs are inclusive, transparent, and effectively reach rural communities. Accepting the recognition, Minister Nuta thanked the Liberia Independent Elder Council for Peace and Reconciliation. Minister Nuta also reaffirmed his commitment to inclusive and transparent leadership. The Agriculture Minister also pledged the ministry's commitment to supporting local farmers across the country. He noted that such support is critical to enhancing local production and making Liberia self-sufficient. The Center for Rehabilitation and Reintegration on Monday graduated several disadvantaged youths. The program, graced by several government officials, family members, and well-wishers among others, was intended to recognize the effort of the Center in rehabilitating disadvantaged youth. Speaking at the ceremony, Montserrat County Senator Darius DeLon appreciated several organizations and individuals who contributed to the rehabilitation process of the disadvantaged youth. Senator DeLong further appreciated Refugee County Senator Jonathan Subway for contributing $600 for three sewing machines to be used for training disadvantaged youth. Also speaking, Refugee County Senator Jonathan Subway admonished the graduate to go home and serve their parents and not be carried away by friends who will lure them into going back to addiction. For their part, the graduates appreciated Senator DeLone for accepting them at the rehab center and giving them the opportunity to go through the rehabilitation process. The presumed winner in the October 2025 Disputed Federation of Liberian Youth election, Dukujala, is calling for a united front in ending the election impasse in Fly. Dukujala said all sides in the Fly 2025 election dispute will, with contention and reservation, need to collaborate to end the impasse and move the national youth movement forward. Mr. Jala, speaking to ELBC Monday, said the court issue has cast a dark shadow on the image of Fly, adding that the Federation's reputation is diminishing on the international stage. The former Fly General Secretary's statement comes after the Youth and Sports Ministry conclusion and submission of report in an administrative hearing ordered by the Civil Law Court. The Youth and Sport Ministry's administrative hearing report said the Fly election enjoys presumption legality, which has not been displaced, adding there exists no administrative basis to disturb the outcome of the October 2025 Fly election. The report has been submitted to the court to conclude the almost 4 months of electoral dispute which has halted the function of the Federation of Liberian Youth. A high-level delegation from the U.S. government agency Millennium Challenge Corporation has held technical engagement with the Board of Commissioners and management of the Liberia Electricity Regulatory Commission. The meeting was held at the Commission's office as part of MCC Liberia Compact preparation. LERC is a product of the first Millennium Challenge Compact in 2015, underscoring the lasting impact of MCC's partnership with Liberia. When approved, the new compact is expected to provide significant support to Liberia's electricity sector, with a focus on increasing access to reliable and affordable electricity nationwide. According to a release, the MCC delegation was led by Ms. Carrie Monahan, Managing Director for Africa at the Millennium Challenge Corporation. Also in attendance at the meeting were officials from the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning. A high-level Liberian delegation from the Office of the First Lady is in Ivory Coast on a 5-day strategic scholarship program review benefiting several Liberians. The delegation headed by Apostle Fode Kape is expected to hold discussions with its Ivorian counterpart on the joint training and scholarship program among Liberia, the French Development Agency, and Ivory Coast. The program, which has been funded by France, is dedicated to educating youth in science, technology, engineering, and agriculture at the Institute National Polytechnic at Felix Houphouët-Boigny University in Ivory Coast. The delegation, among other functions, is expected to secure the program's long-term sustainability plans that align with national development goals. And the National Transit Authority has taken delivery of 20 new air-conditioned minibuses as part of efforts to strengthen national transportation system. The buses, each with an 18-seater capacity, represent the second batch of vehicles procured under the contractual agreement with Elbc Motors Incorporated. According to the NTA, the minibuses will primarily serve communities along feeder roads, improve access to public transportation in areas that have long depended on limited charter services. The delivery brings the total number of newly acquired passenger buses to 55, following the earlier deployment of 35 62-seater mass transit buses that are already in operation. Meanwhile, the NTA is also expected to bring into the country 5 cargo trucks to boost the movement of goods nationwide.
Crystal and the news.